Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Like the Laguna Seca BMWs, the grabber blue on the Mustangs, like that color always looks good.
Well, it was funny because they, Corvette is just not typically known for having like kind of wilder colors.
Seca BMWs,
other than like a Millennium Yellow or something.
Grabber
like that.
blue on the Mustangs,
some
like
of
that
the
color
stuff that you'd see on like a Lamborghini. It was funny because they, Corvette is just not. And so they really knocked it out of the park. The
like
kind of wilder
Laguna
colors.
Seca BMWs,
other than like a Millennium Yellow or something.
Grabber blue on the Mustangs,
like that color. Weird audio feedback.
So it was funny because they, Corvette is just not. They really knocked it out of the park.
Like
kind of wilder
Laguna
colors.
Seca BMWs,
other than like a Millennium Yellow.
Grabber blue on the Mustangs, like that color.
Weird audio feedback.
Hold on. It was funny because they, Corvette is just not. They really. All right, is that better?
Whoa, that was weird. We were on some weird DJ trip there.
Okay, sorry about that.
That was a Twilight Zone situation.
Yeah. What it means though is that if I pull up any audio from any media files, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I was just trying to figure out if it was me. I was like, uh-oh, I did something here.
It's always you, Josh.
It's generally the that's generally right. Right. I break all technology.
Yeah, it's all right. So we're still 2 minutes before, but yeah, I mean so what do you think? Top off or coupe?
I'm loving the convertible. This looks great.
Yeah, it's very Lamborghini-ish.
Although I mean, I haven't seen one with the top, like the Targa removed yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know how differently they look, aside from, maybe this back glass panel being, shaved off on the convertible, and it has these two, spikes that are going above the headrest.
Yeah, and I think they've got to do that for rollover. It's got to have something there, just based on new car standards. Oh, yeah, you part of the big wing crew?
Oh yeah, for sure.
The entire car is like a giant wedge in the wind. I sincerely doubt it needs more downforce in the back, but it does look good. It looks real good.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I don't know. Can y'all see my video?
Who is
Nolan?
Switching to Nolan. I can spotlight you.
I was just gonna say, yesterday was probably the first time this car has ever gotten washed in its life, and it actually doesn't look too bad.
Hey Josh, stop sharing your screen for me.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Hey guys, it's Barry Fromberg. I just joined.
Hey Barry, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Give me just a second. We're trying to get off Josh's screen here. We're building a Corvette.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, we're lusting after the C8 here. Josh, do you see it?
I see the screen here. I'm just not sure how to not share anymore.
So down to the bottom corner, or down to the bottom itself, there's you'll see it may be at the bottom or at the top, but it'll be a green little thing that says sharing the screen, and then it'll be a red button that says stop sharing.
Stop share. There we go.
There we go. There we go. All right. So is that the cleanest that car has ever been?
Probably, actually, yeah. So I got a Chemical Guys foam gun.
Yeah.
And got the whole thing. Ended up having to wash it twice yesterday, but like, I bought it from a college kid who moved here from Florida. I don't think this car's ever even stayed in the garage, and this is just from a wash. So polish is going to be needed, if you can see that. It's pretty brutal.
So are you racing that, or is that just a street car?
No, this is.
Oh, I see the roll cage.
Yeah, now it makes more sense.
This is going to be eventually a spec Miata, but for now it just runs SCCA time trials.
I started racing in Spec Miatas back about 15 years ago.
It's just, bang for the buck, experience for the buck. It's just the best class out there.
It's the best way to learn how to race a car. The skills you learn being fast in the Miata, you can use no matter what kind of car you race beyond that.
Absolutely.
So, is this the cleanest we're ever going to see this garage?
Yeah.
Congratulations, buddy, on the house.
Yeah.
By the way, he's moving in today, which is why I'm saying this is the cleanest we'll ever see.
No kidding. Congrats.
Yeah.
I got to get my signs up and stuff, but yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I've got a buddy, Chris Schaefer, that I went to college with. That he races Spec Miatas. He's got 2 of them. He's got one of them on the Talladega night. When he loses all of his sponsors, and he's got a Cougar on the hood, and it says "me."
Yeah,
it's his sponsor. That's the exact layout of his car, and he's an instructor as well. But he's a good guy.
That's perfect.
All right,
it's coming along.
The waiting room. There we go. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Well, Josh, let's go ahead and get started, man.
Awesome. Well, just wanted to, give everybody a warm welcome and thank our presenters and participants and and really encourage questions and dialogue. And just, the reason why we're sort of doing this is just to maintain the social distancing aspect of what we're trying to do and just maintain health vigilance. But that's sort of the reason why we're using this platform. And we're sort of working through it, and I appreciate everybody jumping on and just kind of rolling with it. And, obviously for participating. So, we had, Haley Myers was going to be our first presenter with a Nissan GTR. She couldn't make it on today. So we'll probably just go ahead and, I'm going to, if Nolan, if you're ready, I just wanted to kind of give you a quick shout out and let everybody know what you're doing and everything. And real quick, I wanted to, I guess, introduce myself first, but my name is Josh Jones. I'm with CoVerica. I do personal lines insurance. That means home and auto and personal property. We work with a number of insurance carriers from Chubb and AIG and all of the high net worth insurance companies, all the way to specialty markets like Haggerty that do collector car policies, all the way through anything and everything for home and auto insurance, Travelers, Safeco, and a huge variety of others. So that's what I do. My passion is cars. So I get to insure some really, really cool stuff, and I have the opportunity to share that stuff with you guys. So it gives me a kind of a unique platform to be able to do that. And that's kind of where we're at today. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, I appreciate you being on here with us. And also wanted to introduce Leaf. I don't know if you can share your screen or not, but Leaf is he's sort of the magician. I call him the wizard. He's got these huge screens at the office, and you can't really see behind his giant monitor sometimes. So
yeah, I've got the same setup here. Let's see if I can pull it back. So yeah, we're trying to make it work here. So because of all this, it's funny because I went to the office and I just basically just loaded everything to the car, and I got an email from Mike Sterlacey, our CEO, and he goes, "Everything all right? Is there anything I need to know about?" I'm like, "No, I've been with the company for 17 years. It's kind of it's definitely a second family." And so really with this whole social distancing and with the virus thing, we do a Cars in CoVerica event, or we were planning for our first one, and then coronavirus had a different idea for us. And that's all something that we've done in the past, to open our headquarters up as a venue to safe, secure place for everybody to bring a car and just kind of share in the camaraderie. I've been in the car community for 20 years now, since the late 90s. And, it's the thing I've always loved about car people is you get a bunch of car people together, and it doesn't matter if you're, rolling a 56 Bel Air or a new Corvette C8 or a super rare Jaguar. It's all of a sudden just everybody's guard kind of comes down, and all that friendship just kind of kicks in. So been a huge fan of the car community and just getting around car people. And with this going on, and it's so beautiful outside, we can't really even take part of that. And so I just appreciate everybody getting on and getting going with us. So it's good to meet everybody, and I look forward to seeing everybody soon once we get on the other side of this thing.
All right.
So with that said, we've got a little bit of a script that we're kind of following, as far as like an order for everything, but we're always just kind of rolling with the punches too.
So,
go ahead.
Am I on mute or am I back?
Okay. No, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. So, I just wanted to give everybody some sort of a proper introduction. So Nolan is with Haggerty. He's our, I guess, representative or regional person for Haggerty. And he answers all of my crazy questions about underwriting and can we insure this? Can we do this? This guy has a, whatever, some crazy stuff. I mean, you name it. So he's sort of my sounding board for all things Haggerty based. So he's also, obviously he's gotten into racing and is sort of inspired me to try to see if I can find my my next project car. So anyhow, show us what you're working on if for the people that just now got on the conference.
So hi, I'm Nolan. I am the Dallas-Fort Worth territory manager for Haggerty Insurance. On top of that, I've been a motorsports enthusiast and active in the car community since I was born, which is probably not as long as some of you guys still. But I've always been active in motorsports, driving cars. I've had more cars that are older than me than cars that are younger than me. So I've got a huge passion for it. And I've got lately in the last couple of years, a little more practical with my motorsport stuff. And let me flip my screen around. This is what I've been working on for the past 9 months to a year. It's a 2000 Miata NB1 for those of you that are aficionados. The car is just a Miata. Like there's nothing special about it. I bought it thinking it was just a running, driving, clean car. And so far I've had to do a ton of work to it. The entire clutch, had to replace the entire exhaust, had to put the roll bar in, get a hard top. And then I found out that I'm too tall for it. So I had to get this seat that basically bolts to the floor. You can see actually the lag bolts coming through. There's no sliders or anything.
Oh, wow.
And so this will pretty soon be a spec Miata. I haven't gone through my race school yet. So for now, it's just a time trials car, HPDE car. Yeah, it's just been a fun project. The great thing about these things is like every tool I could ever need for it fits in that box or less.
Yeah.
All hand tools, Harbor Freight jack. I've been able to do it pretty much on a budget. And it's actually been fairly competitive. I've gotten pretty quick with it. And as Barry was saying before we started, like these are the skills you learn in these cars because they're so simple, transfer onto anything else. And a Miata driver can drive a Corvette fast, but a Corvette driver can't drive a Miata fast. So it's,
no, I'm kidding.
Just saying.
Let me answer this as far as
right there.
Yeah, I know, right? Just from a standpoint, because a lot of people they hear spec Miata, they don't really understand what that means. Mm-hmm. What can you not do to that car and still stay in spec Miata?
So,
what can you do to it? Like, what are the limitations of the class?
Yeah, so spec Miata is really interesting. I didn't even know as much about it until recently. Basically, you can't really do a whole lot to the motor. You can remove things like power steering, which with this little thing is not a problem. All the AC, you can remove all that. The suspension is a spec suspension. The GRC, which is kind of the rule book or the blueprint of a spec Miata car, has specific part numbers for the brake calipers you can use, the wheels you can use, even the tires you can use, all the way down to how the cage has to get put together.
Wow.
What variants you can do to the motor. The motor has to be stock. You can't like blueprint a motor. Some people kind of bend the rules to that and kind of quasi blueprint them, but it has to stay a factory car. If it came with a 6-speed, it has to be a 5-speed. If it came with the 3/6 gears in the rear end, it has to change. Yeah, it has to all be the same. and there's all kinds of fun stuff to it. You have to have a hard top, which is why I bought the hard top. My soft top
that
was
makes
sitting
sense.
there. And you really can't alter the car. You can't add any aero. You can't add really a whole lot. And even down to your wheel size is all mandated. And the whole point behind it was to be a driver's class so that nobody is just throwing money at the problem to become too ultra competitive, which sadly is not always realistic. Nobody can, blueprint a motor or run a different tune. You have to run the factory tune. And also to be affordable. I mean, if you buy a beat up Miata, say for $3,000 or $4,000, it'll take you another 8 to 10 to make it a spec car. And for a spec race car, $10,000, $15,000 is actually that's nothing. That's chump change for most people in the motorsports world, anybody in the motorsports world. So,
well, that's how it starts. And then you got to get a trailer, and then you got to get a truck to pull the trailer, and then you got to get a second car. We all know how the rabbit hole goes. Do they race Gen 1 and Gen 2 cars together, or are they in separate class? Are like the different, and even Gen 3s?
So the third gen ones are their own thing. They're called Spec MX5 because it's just got too much more power. The first generation and the second generation Miatas are honestly the same car. They did go from a 1.6 liter to 1.8 liter. And then later in this car's generation, they went to a variable valve timing. But there are certain rules, like you have to ballast those cars down, so weigh them down. There's some little here's and there's, but it is basically NA, first gen, NB, second gen, and then the third generations are going to Spec MX5. And then in the fourth generation, they actually have what's called the MX5 Cup, which is all brand new Miatas that are all factory race cars. And that's a whole lot of fun to watch because they tour the whole country, and then there's a series of tours the whole world for that.
Oh wow, so very cool.
It's
well, man, keep us updated on it. Let us know.
Absolutely.
Let us know what's going on, and if I've got a buddy that's got 2 cars, like I was saying, Chris. I'll make an introduction to you guys on Facebook. Sure. He's been doing this for I think 10 years now. In fact, it was funny. He actually switched up. He posted a picture yesterday to his Facebook page of his iRacing. He's got his Miata and his iRacing thing, and he's actually wearing his full Nomex suit, helmet, and everything in front of the TV. It's hysterical.
I almost threw all that on today, but it's in a box somewhere and I can't find it.
All right, we know we're moving in. We may cut to you at some point and maybe ask you some funny Chubb questions or claims that you may have seen. I know Bryant may have be joining us at some point. And those would be those are always entertaining. He was telling me a story about where someone cut the roof off their Bentley. It was either their Bentley or Rolls Royce, and try to file it as a claim. So
I've got some great claim stories for you guys if you want to hear. So I'll shut the video off, but this is my death trap, as I call it.
Very cool.
I'd love to answer any questions anybody has on it. So
cool. Gotcha. Very
I have
cool.
a lot of questions I'll ask offline. I'm really interested. Cool.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
Lee,
all right.
A question real quick before you swap for Nolan. Our knowledge come once you grew in the mustache, or
I didn't shave down to a mustache.
Oh, that's funny. I'm jealous, man. I'm a 40-year-old man, and I can't. This is what I got right now is probably a 3 weeks worth. So
I tried to do the whole handlebar, but the lady said no way.
Well, she's got to put her foot down somewhere.
I guess so. Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, Josh, why don't we swap to Steven real quick and just kind of tell him what he's up to, right? You know,
right,
that
cool.
might be a good. So
Steven
is
available?
There. He is.
There I am. Hey guys.
Very cool.
Hey
So Steven's an artist buddy of ours that is he has a small affinity for drawing for painting and the artistic side of automobiles. I don't know if you can see his screen there or not, but
not yet.
So he yeah, we can see it.
Sweet.
So he throughout the previous live stream. I'm sorry?
We're still seeing Nolan's beard.
Oh
yeah.
Hold on. I hit
There we go.
There it is. Look at that.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that, guys.
Thanks.
I'm not looking at our feed here. So
Hey, Josh.
Very cool. So last time we did this, what was really wild is he was taking some screenshots and getting some inspiration of some things that he was showing, but also he's going to be kind of working on this as we're going through. So
Yeah, I've got a collection of things that actually I'll be showing off today. So what we're looking at right now is a 906, and if any of you guys follow Road Scholars, they are a Porsche-centric dealer and restoration shop that specialize in kind of these vintage racers. I mean, their collection is awesome, and this is going to them as a gift because they've actually sent some work my way. But I have a collection of different things that you'll see me working on today, including.
Wow, that's
wow.
cool.
Nice 911 specimen.
Was that from last weekend?
Yeah, at least the prototype for it. And what I'm doing right now, since things have been transferred over to paper instead of prototyping, I do all my prototyping digitally. This is my chance to kind of make them pop and do some of these line embellishments and stuff. It really is a unique look for automotive artwork, and I tried to not make it look necessarily
oh, that's cool.
Say photorealistic, because some of the time that stuff is boring to me. But when it gets ethereal and almost dreamlike, I mean, we're kind of living our childhood dreams a little bit by being car guys and surrounding our lives with it, right? So try and make it a little dreamish. So you'll see some stuff. This one's going as an official poster to Exotics on Las Olas in Fort Lauderdale for 2020, if they're actually going to have it later this year. Yeah. So fingers crossed. So I've got some F1 artwork and some classics, and of course good old Bugatti Chiron and some other stuff going on. So you'll see me popping from time to time. But what Leaf was alluding to from last time, I was taking screenshots of some of what you guys were sharing of your own cars, and then prototyping them in real time just as a surprise. So make sure you get some good far back video footage when you are kind of showing off your rides, and you might be the lucky recipient of what I do here. So anyway,
cool.
you guys are awesome. Awesome community to hang out with. So I can't help but be appreciative for the time, and I kind of want to give it back. So yeah, you guys are awesome to hang out with.
So talented, man. Thanks for sharing this stuff with us.
It's cool. Hey,
man,
plug your where can people find some more of your stuff online?
So my website is stevensalzler.com. You can find my stuff on Instagram. Let's see if this will actually work. Will it? No, it's not going to let me zoom, will it?
Oh no. We'll throw it in the chat. We'll throw it in the chat for sure.
Throw it in the chat, but I've now you're seeing a little bit of my studio, but yeah.
Oh, there it
when
goes.
You guys go to
Perfect.
So that's nice and clear for everyone. Yeah, stevensalzler.com. Throw me an email. Throw some other stuff in there. Facebook and Instagram, if you can find me, Steven Salzler. So
all right, man.
I'll throw that up from time to time. But yeah, check in with me later.
All right, awesome. We're gonna unmute Mark. Let's see. We're gonna unmute his audio. We're gonna spotlight his video. Hey, Mark, how are you, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Colorado.
Hey.
Oh, very
nice.
cool. I like the shirt so far.
Yeah.
Hey, I've loved them ever since I was 8 years old.
Very cool. Well, how's Colorado up there?
It's not too bad. It's a little bit chilly this morning, but I mean it's not too bad. It's really quiet this morning, which is ominous.
Well, it's nice to meet you, man. What do you got in the garage there?
Well, I've got the Intimidator, but you messaged me, Josh, last night that you wanted to see the Raptor.
Either one are great. I mean, I like the Raptors just because I think they're cool to just be able to run over anything and everything. But that's just the fun side of things, I guess. But either one. Let's see what you're working on.
All right, let's get this that way. There we go. So this morning I spent 2 hours just kind of cleaning this up. I went out and washed it and made it look pretty.
Very cool.
So there's 2 generations of these Raptors. The first one had the V8, and then they went to the EcoBoost. I don't know how to identify the two.
So
What? You don't?
The new body style.
Okay.
Yeah, what I have is the first gen, but this is actually so the 2010s, and this is a 2010. They first came out with the 5.4 liter. And this one actually has the 6.2 in it.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So this one actually is at 411 horses. I actually got this almost 2 years ago. I had it brought up from Houston. What had happened is we had softball hail, and it totaled out my Avalanche that I had. And I've always been a Chevy guy, but my wife has been a Ford gal, and she said, this time you're getting a Ford truck.
And here you are.
So I told her, okay, if I'm going to get a Ford truck, I'm going to get a badass Ford truck.
There you go. Well,
That
I think
is
you did a
definitely
good job on
badass
this.
Ford truck.
And what's been really cool about these is their values have actually held on pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
Especially since the new one has got the V6 twin turbo, which is a great motor. I mean, gosh, it's shared with the Ford GT. And they throw it in some other vehicles, Taurus SHOs, and anything with an EcoBoost badge more than likely has that motor in it now. But a lot of people are like, no, I want a V8. I want a big grumbly V8, and that is a big grumbly V8 for sure.
Yeah,
and so
cool.
they've held their value really well. I was looking at them as just like, hey, it'd be a fun third car, or maybe switch to that as a primary. And I was looking, I was just like, these did not tank in value like I thought they would.
Well, I got kind of lucky with this one. I picked it up from CarMax, and that's how I got it up from Houston. Was they brought it up for free. And the thing is it had 102,000 miles on it, but I mean, these things will keep going and going and going as long as you keep the maintenance up.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're just simple. I mean, that's the thing is that, the verdict's still out on that twin turbo V6. What long-term longevity is going to be, but
in trucks, I gotta have a V8.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Hey, Mark, was there was another car that you were wanting to show us? Is it? Oh, there it is. Tell us about this car. I'm not really as familiar with this. I guess it's a commemorative model.
Yeah, this is a NASCAR special. This is a Dale Earnhardt Senior.
Oh, the Dale Monte.
Right.
That's awesome.
So this actually happened. Let's see, where is it? There it is. All right, I'm gonna drop it.
Hey, Mark, while you're looking, whereabouts in Colorado are you?
Colorado Springs.
Okay, I'm originally a Denver native, and I think I might have seen your car at an event. I've only lived in Texas for about 2 years. I feel like I've seen that car.
What? Since 2012, I've been showing it. This has got 12 trophies, or not 12, but 7 trophies I've won. And here, we'll give you this. This is
cool.
a certificate of authenticity. And if we zoom in a little bit, you can see the sequence number. And you can see that there was only 4,000 of these made.
Huh.
And then there's Teresa Earnhardt. And then Brent Dewar. He was the general manager or a division manager at the time when they built these cars. And you can see the NASCAR part 2.
Are you the original owner of it?
I am not, but My wife bought this car for me in 2012 when I got back from Afghanistan.
Very cool. Huh.
And currently, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of blurry, but it's a 72 819.
Wow.
This is a 16-year-old car.
Wow. Didn't get driven much.
No. Heck, last 2 months it sat in the garage. And the beautiful thing about these 04s is that right there.
Yeah, I had a Grand Prix GTP and same exact motor.
Oh yeah.
And that thing would surprise the hell out of a lot of people. Have you done anything to it, or is it still stock?
Since this is a numbered car, I haven't done anything but tint the windows.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, these things take really, really well to a pulley swap, to a tune. I want to say I had low 400 horsepower on mine. That car was it was funny because, you know, big boat land yacht looking car, and then you run 12s in it.
Yeah.
So they're fun as can be.
Oh yeah, and this one, well, 8th mile, I know it'll do under 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So I raced this down at PPIR, both on their 8th mile drag strip and on their what they call the track attack, and there's my numbers 387 FA, and that's front wheel drive A class.
Very
just
cool.
because I'm supercharged.
It's super clean.
And then there's some of my trophies.
Just in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, well, the big cup one is the
wow.
Barrett Jackson one.
Very cool.
But yeah,
very cool.
This is a very fun car.
Mark, did you serve in the armed forces in Afghanistan?
No, I was a contractor.
Very much needed as well, though.
So I spent 6 years over in the sand pit. 4 of them in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan, and 1 in Kuwait.
Oh wow! Well, we appreciate you doing that. Very cool. Something you don't see every day for sure.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen but maybe 1 or 2 of these. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, no problem. I love showing this car off, and I don't think it's going to come out of this garage too often, but when it does, it goes out and it gets a lot of looks.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, man, we appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Thank you.
All right, we're going to switch over to, I see Barry down there. Barry's always got some really cool stuff to show. Let me unmute Barry real fast. Hold on, he's still muted. Where's he at? Barry, can we hear you?
I hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
no, I hear you great.
Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Let me get you
great.
to turn your camera sideways if you don't mind, just because I want to make sure there we go. I want to make
How's
sure
that?
Steven's got something good to look at there.
I'm going to
Very
reverse
cool.
the camera here because I know you
Perfect.
guys don't want to be looking at me. All right, how's
Okay,
that?
holy moly.
All
There
right,
we
so
go.
this is my garage, one of my garages. I've been really lucky to be able to own and collect
Wow.
some pretty cool cars.
I see
You
a
know,
theme here
Nolan-
with the color.
Yeah.
Very
Not deliberately, but
garage you got there. Just saying.
Nolan was talking about racing. I started Spec Miata racing back in the early 2000s. So these were a couple of my Spec Miata cars. And I also did the first 2 years of the MX-5 Cup. So that's my MX-5 Cup car.
Oh,
Then
wow.
I got in my first Porsche Cup car and never looked back with Spec Miata again. It's like crack cocaine
So
and owned
Barry,
a couple of.
sorry to interrupt, that first cup car, that's a 996 GT3.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a heck of an upgrade from a Spec Miata.
Yeah. And it was like crack cocaine, every sense of the word.
Yeah.
The cost, the addiction. This was another one that I had. This is a 2011 997.2. That was a phenomenal car. And then I got into Ferrari racing. So this is my current race car, a 458 challenge car.
Oh my gosh.
Barry,
Crazy fun.
the ownership process of owning a Ferrari Challenge car. Can you speak to that for a minute?
Well, there's really nothing special about it. These cars are available in the secondary market. I didn't
Okay.
buy it used. So, I've never raced Ferrari Challenge series, but I do some other club and pro races using the 458 Challenge. But, the guys that are running Ferrari Challenge get them new from the factory. And then when they trade up, they're flipping down, and guys like me are waiting there to grab them. So
For sure.
Scoop them up.
Hey,
Wow.
Barry, have you ever run that car with SVRA down at COTA?
yeah, I ran IGT for 2 years with SVRA.
So in 2017, I was down there walking the paddock, and I think I actually have some photos of your car that I took with my camera down there. Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. Small world.
Yeah, I'll have to dig them up and send them to you. I've gone to
I'd love to see it.
COTA probably the last 4 or 5 years, so I'll be sure to find those and share them with you.
Both of these pictures are from COTA. When I ran the Cup car, and then when I ran with SVRA.
What was
but
the
in terms?
what was the difference like going from the Porsche to the Ferrari?
The big difference is the 997.2 Cup car was still a sequential manual shift. So it had a shifter, it had a clutch pedal, and of course the 458 is a dual clutch automatic. So, but in terms of driving, they're really similar.
Mm-hmm.
The Cup car is lighter. It's only about 2,600 pounds. It's obviously rear engine.
Oh, wow.
So it's much more tossable on the track. The mid-engine Ferrari is a heavier car. It's about 3,100 pounds. More power. This had about 550 horsepower compared to, I think, 430 for the Cup car. But the mid-engine made it much more neutral, much actually easier to drive and to drive fast. They're both phenomenal cars. Either way you go, you can't go wrong.
Is it as rear end happy as what the Porsche is? I know the Porsche, just with all that weight and at the absolute back half of the car.
That's a bit of a difference. The Porsche, you really want to try to rotate the back end through the corner.
Mm-hmm.
In the Ferrari, you just track right through.
Wow.
You just step on the throttle and go.
Wow.
It's really, really fun.
Do you keep that car at a paddock somewhere, or do you have that in a warehouse, or what?
The shop that supports me is Norwood Auto Italia.
Oh yeah,
Carrollton.
Yeah.
So they support
Patterson.
all my and Chris Coffey. They support my Racing Addict as well as my classic car collection. So they do it all.
Very cool.
So
Yeah,
they keep the car there.
Shop.
Yeah, no, they
Very
do a
cool.
phenomenal job.
All right, let's see what you got in the garage.
All right, so I've always been a huge Jaguar guy. This is one of the crown jewels of the collection. It's a 1993 Jaguar XJ220. At the time it was introduced, it was the fastest car in the world. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Top end speed. They wanted to get to 220. They ended up getting to 217 officially.
Wow.
And then it held the lap record at the Nürburgring Ring until the McLaren F1 came along. 271 production cars, 23 in this color. It's called Monza Red, which is, to me, just a spectacular color.
Yeah, it really does play. We've got some photography that Igor took, and it's like it looks more maroon in this light, and then I've seen it in other pictures, and it's just got such a vibrancy to it, and so it really does play differently in different light. But
Barry,
and that's.
I just wanted to also add, this car won the Hagerty Best Choice Youth Judging Award at the Park Cities show last year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think we gave you the medal. But we took about a dozen kids around to judge a select number of cars.
That's exactly right. That's right.
They chose yours for best in class. I remember that.
I remember that well. That's right.
Too much fun.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
great.
trying to remember in '93 what cars were the hot cars, and just still trying to wrap my head around 200 plus miles an hour back, 30 years
Yeah.
ago was just an unbelievable automotive feat.
Yeah, it was incredible. Well, the competitor to this car at the time were the Ferrari F40, the Porsche 959, the Bugatti EB110, but this car beat them all.
Yeah, it is stunning, and it's something that if you've not seen one of these in person, it's just one of those things where when you see it, you've just got it's just got such a presence to it.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine what it's like driving this down the road, of the number of people that veer into your lane staring at this thing.
Yeah, I have to be careful, You usually drive where you look, and this gets a lot of looks, and so people are getting a little closer than I'd like at times. But I love to show it off, and I love to see people react to it and understand what it is. Most of them don't even know what it is, and the ones that do, 9 times out of 10 say this is the first one they've ever seen in person. So
yeah, I know when I got to see it, it was one of those things where you just kind of stop and you're just kind of quiet for a minute or two looking at it. What is
exactly
if as far as taking it to Norwood and service work and things like that? I mean, this isn't something that there's just parts laying on shelves for things. Have you had any issues trying to source anything or get anything
none
done?
at all. Well, after I bought it, and I bought it in Monterey 2017 RM Sotheby auction, I shipped it directly to the world's expert in these cars in the UK. His name's Don Law. And he did a full service on it, and took him about 6 months.
Wow.
And one of the things that convinced me to buy the car was the fact that Norwood had actually done an engine out service on one of these cars about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So they were very comfortable being able to support me, for the routine stuff. And even, if we needed anything more serious, once Don got it, fully prepped and ready to go. I think I did something.
No. We may have lost you just for a second on the feed.
Hang on. Shoot.
Well, and Mike Luongo over there is a wizard.
Okay, got it.
He's a mad genius.
Yeah, Mike's great. I don't know if you guys know Chris Coffey. He's the Ferrari guru and keeps our race cars on the track, but they're all great. And, James, of course, is a wizard. So, so this was really my first serious investment. This car was a joint venture between Jaguar and Tom Walkinshaw Racing. This was actually the second road car that they produced out of that joint venture. I also own the first and the third. The first is unfortunately over at Norwood. We're waiting for a part to come in from the UK, but that's an XJR 15, which is, I got a picture of one here. And this car is just insane.
Oh my gosh.
It's basically, Tom Walkinshaw Racing won Le Mans in 1988 with the car that's called the XJR 9. The 15 is basically this same platform, just rebodied for the street.
Hey, I've actually got some photos that I can share of that car, just so people know what we're talking about.
Igor's got, yep.
Yeah, I'm actually going to show Igor's site here, if we can share a screen here. Let's see if we can share screen number 2. Can you guys see that?
It is there.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yep, that's here.
Yeah,
so that's there. Out. That's there at the home.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and you see the other, the third of the 3 Tom Walkinshaw Racing Jaguar road cars. That is called an XJRS, which really, to commemorate the launch of the XJ220, Tom Walkinshaw Racing pulled 100 XJS road cars off of Jaguar's production line and basically AMG'd them. Upgraded the motor, upgraded the suspension, brakes, and rebadged them the XJRS. There are 100 that were shipped to the U.S. in 1993, 50 coupes, 50 convertibles. Most of the cars were either black or signal red, which is a bright red. 4 were silver, and 2 of them were this color red called flamenco red, which is a much prettier color in my mind. And this is, each of them were individually numbered. This is number 49. And so that's, I call it the Tom Walkinshaw Racing trifecta of road cars. This one I actually got from on Bring a Trailer. I won an auction last fall.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Love that site. Addicted to that site.
We're hearing that kind of unanimously along lines with other owners.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So lucky enough to get it, and really rare car and in great condition. So I don't know if you want to talk about any of these other cars, but this is a rare car as well.
That is a turbo, isn't it?
This is a 1989 turbo Targa.
Wow.
One of 34 in the U.S. 24,000 miles. Just in phenomenal shape. This car is the only car when I try to push it, it scares the crap out of me.
Widowmaker, huh?
Yeah, these were the Widowmakers.
You know, it's funny. When I first got this car, I tried to get the license plate W Maker.
Yeah.
And Texas refused to give it to me because they claimed it encouraged violence.
Oh, that's funny.
And I tried to explain to them. I appealed it. I sent them all this literature about why, you know, that name applies to this car, and they kept saying no. So,
wow.
But I just love the look of the Targas, and I love this first generation turbo. You know, with the huge wheel flares, the huge whale tail, and it's just a phenomenal car.
Yeah, these just, you know, whenever they move to water cooled from air cooled, I mean, I think it just shot the value of these air cooled 911s up. You know, everything in the late 80s to the early the 993s. You know, those cars are just so highly sought after.
Yeah.
But gosh, I mean, you look at this and it just, you know, I was born in 79. And so I was in, you know, I was 10 years old when this car came out, but I had a Trapper Keeper with this car on it.
Yeah.
And, you know, so, I mean, this was on every 10-year-old boy's room on the wall, you know,
so,
along
exactly.
with a Corvette and a Lambo. So
Barry, I got kind of schooled on Porsches fairly recently, but these old air-cooled Porsches, my understanding is that there's 2 oil reservoirs up front, like little oil radiators that bring in fresh air to cool oil that circulates around the car.
That's right.
Is there also an intercooler up front for the turbos, or is it in the back?
It's in the back.
Okay. I didn't know if it sat kind of underneath the whale tail.
Yeah, it does.
Some area. Okay.
oh wow.
Yeah, if you ever get a
cool.
chance to see these cars with the side, like the fairings on the side of the car underneath the doors, you'll see 2, I mean, water hose size braided steel lines that are circulating oil all the way around the circumference of the car. So I'm wondering, does that's a lot of oil moving around the car. Does it drip oil anywhere on the floor? It's pretty airtight, huh?
It is airtight.
That's awesome.
Does Norwood service this one as well?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And that is perfection.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
So
really
what year was the slant nose in this generation?
Well, you could get that as an option, I think, 88 and 89 as a factory option. I may be wrong on that, but certainly the later years, you could get it as a factory option. Some earlier cars that were kits that they used. But,
yeah.
You know, the factory option was just in the last few years of this production run. I actually like, I like the conventional nose better.
I do too.
Actually.
It's just more Porsche. The only other one I saw was a slant nose, and it looks like an afterthought. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't look Porsche to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's obviously more racing connected, but to me, one of the great design cues are those, front headlights and the way they extend out from the fender, and it just says Porsche.
Wow. How long have you owned this one?
I got this one about a year ago. I had been looking for one of these for several years. We looked at a few at auction. As you know, they're obviously rare, although they did make them in 87, 88, but the 89 is the most special because it's the upgraded 5-speed manual transmission and a hydraulic clutch. So to be honest, it didn't really matter to me if I found one that checked the boxes, but I was really fortunate enough to find this one at a dealer in California. He had just taken it in a trade-in and just casually mentioned it to a guy that helps me find cars. And so he immediately called me and said, "Hey, I think I found the car for you." And 2 days later, he was up there doing the PPI, and then that day we had a deal to buy it.
Yeah. Now you've got a fourth one there that obviously did not come from overseas.
No.
So this is a, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this a 94 or 95?
This is a 95 ZR1, one of the last produced, number 418 of 448. The last one produced in this color, dark red metallic, 17,000 miles, great condition, as you can see. When I first started collecting cars, I had owned some cool cars earlier in my life, but always had to flip them because I couldn't afford to own more than one car. And so I had owned a 93 40th anniversary convertible. And so I always wanted to, sort of replace that with a ZR1. And I've owned this one for 2.5 years. This was one of the first cars I bought for my collection.
That is beautiful. Now, if people just kind of see this and they say, "Oh, it's a C4 Corvette," this actually doesn't share a whole lot of panel with a C4 Corvette. The back end of this car, I want to say, is another 6 to 7 inches wider. It is menacing whenever you see one of these in person. It
is so low.
Yeah, these things are so wide and so low.
The tires are huge on it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but just monster tires.
Those are massive. And so this was a 32 valve. Almost every Corvette has always been a pushrod motor, but this one in particular was an overhead, a 32 valve overhead, and was actually a joint venture with Mercury Marine on the motor.
Right. Lotus designed it and Mercury Marine built it. 405 horsepower. Crazy fun.
Yeah.
I drove one of these about a year ago, and they're still very quick to today's standards.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of power, a lot of torque.
Yeah.
The
guy that I bought it from, he did a couple of mods to it, which I really like to keep everything original, but he had given me all the original parts if I ever wanted to put it back to completely stock.
Oh, that's cool.
He put a 430 rear end into this car.
It's a little torquey, I would imagine. I bet it zips up pretty quick.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so much fun because you just you stomp on it and you're right at the red line in no time. But man, low end torque is huge. Really fun.
Yeah, I bet so. And the thing is they built this car to compete, in this whole 200-mile race back in the 90s. They were really trying to get something that could go as fast as humanly possible. And but you've got a whole garage full of stuff that can go super, super fast as far as a speed thing. And so something with a 430 rear end, probably some stoplight to stoplight fun I'm not sure you can get much better.
It's great fun.
So very, very nice.
Can you show us one more shot of the rear end of the Jag?
Oh, of the Jag, the
There we
220.
go. There we go.
Yeah.
Just for anybody that's just now jumping on. There we go.
Yeah. How special is that?
It's an unbelievable car, really.
Yeah. 25 years old. It's over 25 years old.
I mean, the thing is, I remember when in this thing, seeing pictures of this, it was just like, well, that's from an alien planet. Like that didn't come from here. Because you got to realize, I mean, that, you know, we were used to the car to the left of it and to the car behind it, and then this thing comes and it looks like something out of a movie.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. That is unbelievable.
All right. Any questions? I can help.
This one was a V6 twin turbo, right?
That's right.
And then the prototype was a V12.
Yeah, this car, you know, when it was launched, when production was launched, it was a little controversial because the original prototype was a V12 all-wheel drive. And when they tried to start making it, they realized that they could never get the performance out of it with that configuration. So they ended up producing them with a twin turbo V6, made the same horsepower, 542, much lighter, obviously more compact, and then rear wheel drive rather than all wheel drive. But the engine's just insane. Typical 90s technology, right? So when you go to throttle, you got the turbo lag, and then when the turbos kick in, man, it is just like a rocket ship.
Oh my gosh.
So Barry, cool. I do have a question for you. I mean, I love your XJ. I remember seeing it at the Dallas Cars and Coffee at Classic BMW. Like, it must have been right after you got it, right when I got here to Dallas. As far as, you know, exotic cars and fast cars go, it's a pretty eclectic thing, these Jags. And I'm wondering what got you into the Jaguars early on.
Well, I remember when this car was launched and I just fell over backwards. So this has always been on my list to hopefully one day own one of these cars. One of my earliest memories as a kid was seeing a silver E-Type convertible come down the street. And I couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. And again, just fell over backwards. And so I've always had a real soft spot for Jaguars. And actually all British cars. I love Aston Martins. You know, I was a big James Bond kid when I was young. And just something about British cars and Jaguars in particular that just always just got me going whenever I saw one. So that's what started it.
I mean, whenever I see your car, whoever I'm with, I see it at events all across town. I always make a point to tell them, like, hey, if you ever see another XJ220, it's probably going to be Barry in Dallas because you're never going to see a second one of these. It's a beautiful car. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, it was funny because last year you'd brought it to our office for one of the events, and you know, I had my 11-year-old son with me at the time, and you know, there's a whole parking lot full of every colored GT2, GT3, every colored Lambo, every colored Ferrari. My son grabs me, he's like, Daddy, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, it really does stand out. You know, everyone just kind of stopped and just kind of took it in for a second, like I was saying earlier. So
yeah, and I love seeing that. I love seeing the reaction to it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your hobby and your passion with us, Barry.
Yeah, thank you guys. Great. Thanks for putting this together. It's great
and
fun.
that was the thing is, you know, I mean, we're all just sitting here, just kind of going still crazy in our houses, and you know, it's just like, gosh, we've got the technology to bring some people online and show this off and share it on YouTube, and you know, maybe another XJ owner across the world will see this.
Yeah. Great.
Hey,
all right, we appreciate
it. Barry, we've got some of your next door neighbors ready to kind of show us what they're doing too. So
hey guys.
Hey, this is Chris Sterlacy and Craig Godfrey.
Hey guys.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Well, yeah. So where are we at in relationship to Barry?
Just a couple units away.
Yeah, so you are a couple of doors down. So Granbury Properties is they're some friends of ours, and clients of ours as well, and they build these really, really cool offices to where folks can seeing a lot of Chris's face. He's flipping the camera around. There we go.
Okay.
All
yeah,
right.
we got you.
So that's obviously the most pretty car, the prettiest car that we have right now.
Hold on. So what we need Nolan's mustache in this car.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh.
And a Hawaiian
I'm a
t-shirt.
100% in. I'll drive it anytime.
Shirt Tiger's hat.
There you go. So what year is this? Is that a 84? 86.
It's a 328.
328, and I don't want to give too much of it away because I believe Jim Granberry will be coming in, this is his car. We're kind of crashing their pad, and then this was also going back to what Barry was alluding to on Bring a Trailer. I don't know what year this is, but maybe if I could have some help from either Barry or if anybody knows.
Yeah, well, we talked about these last weekend with another guy that jumped on with his Nate.
Yeah, with Nate. I think Nate's on right now. I can unmute. Nate's kind of an expert on these cars. Nate, what year do you think this is?
What engine does it have?
That is a good question.
12-cylinder.
No.
Yeah, if only. You know, BMW actually did make one concept Z3 with a 12-cylinder out of the 8 Series.
Wow.
Yeah, they managed to shove that in there with I think it was still the 5-speed transmission.
So this is the M Roadster, and the M Coupe was configured a little bit differently, right?
Correct. So everything is the same except when you talk about the roof and then all the rear. The fenders are still almost exactly the same, but they did have to change it. But everything in the front is exactly the same between a normal M Roadster and the M Coupes. Tail lights are different because of the shape of the trunk and everything.
Right.
Would you say those wheels are like light silver or dark silver? Because that would tell me what year it is.
Oh, really?
This was manufactured in February of 2002.
Dark.
Oh, okay. So it's an S54 car. All right. Cool. So yeah, that's the more powerful version than what we have. But we have 2 of them, so that means we win.
And then he shows a Ferrari. He's like,
we have an Alpha, so that's almost a Ferrari. Remember, it's got
there you
a
go.
Ferrari engine with 2 less cylinders.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. But yeah, so that's nice. You said that one was on Bring a Trailer?
Yeah.
I think the BMW was on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Very cool. Awesome. Well,
Very
I
cool.
actually have another guest, Jim Mango. I don't know if you can unmute your situation over there, but I've got some photos of his car that I can share with you guys. Also, another 90s iteration of Ferrari here. This was my Trapper Keeper right here at Leaf.
Yeah, this to me is if you were to say, Leaf, here's a stack of cash, go buy whatever car gives you the biggest warm and fuzzies.
I think the audience is still viewing my mug.
Yeah, let's switch to here.
I don't know if you can stop sharing your screen or not, Chris.
It says we're viewing Josh Jones's screen.
Sorry, I see.
Okay.
Am I on with you now, Josh? Josh,
There
am
we
I
go.
on with you now?
Hey, Jim. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi. How are you guys this morning?
Doing well,
great.
Jim. How are you?
I'm just doing great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for jumping on with us. So can you guys
bet.
see my screen here? I've got a handful of photos of some Jim's cars. You guys see this red Testarossa?
I do.
Okay.
What year is this?
Well, it's a little ironic. It's a 1989 because when you're referring to James Patterson's place, this car was in storage down there about 3 years ago. I've owned Testarossas for about 25 years, and this one was a 8,300 mile car when I got it.
Oh my
and,
gosh!
all original, hadn't been scuffed or anything of that sort. And the fellow that I got it from had moved to a high rise and didn't have a place to store it. That's why I was over at Patterson's place. And I was able to connect with the fella and purchase the car. And it's really, it's like I say, it's all a stock car. It's the thing I like. We were talking. I'm also a Jaguar nut, like the gentleman previously, and you like those big butts on cars. This one's got a big one. And
yeah, it's a menacing. Now, what year? Since you're a Testarossa aficionado, I mean, I've always just been in love with Testarossas.
Sure.
You know, I mean, it's actually what was really funny is as soon as I got out of college, I moved into an apartment building, and one of the appeals of the apartment building is the guy that owned it lived there, the guy that owned the complex. And he did that because he kept 6 of the 18 garages to keep his cars in. And he had a white Testarossa in there. And so I got the unit that looked over his garage.
Really?
Yeah. So what year did they start Testarossa production? And then what year did because they moved to what, the 512?
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. I believe the first year was 84. And if you ever see a Testarossa with just a single high mirror on the driver's side, that's the very first series of the Testarossas. They're all 12 cylinders with the boxer motor in them.
Right.
And from 84 to about 80.
91.
Yeah, with 91.
Oh, there we go. This is Jan.
Yeah. Good.
Actually, I had 2 of them.
Yeah. So you had the single mirror Testarossas for about 3 or 4 years. Then you went to this one, which is just the straight Testarossa, which has the 2 mirrors on. That's when they went to the passenger mirror, same motor and everything. Then in 91 they moved to the 512, which is just a little bit of an upgrade to this car. But to look at it, unless you owned one, you probably wouldn't notice much difference to it. And then in 95, there were 75 imported to the U.S. F512Ms. And that was the very end of the Testarossa series. So it ran through 95. And ironically, here in town, there's a gentleman that owns both number 1 and number 75.
Oh, gosh, he's got bookends.
Yeah. Number 1 was the red one, and number 75 was the yellow one. And but they're great cars. They're reliable cars, and they're to hear the other. This is my first time on this setup, and it's really neat to hear other car guys discuss where they have their area of expertise in them, and it's really encouraging to see. And but these cars are really fun cars. I also have a 575M, which is one of the early paddle shift cars. That's a naturally aspirated 12-cylinder motor, and I just really like the naturally aspirated cars. Although if you go to one of these later Porsches and things of that sort, I've got a twin turbo S and stuff like that, which is a much quicker car. But all of these cars have their personalities, and that's what I really enjoy about the cars. I don't have any what I call supreme cars, but they're all cars that were important to me at different stages of my life. And so this Testarossa, I always wanted a Ferrari as a young kid. My father, I'm 71 years old, and so as a young kid in the 50s and 60s in Iowa, my father was a sports car guy in a little town up there, and he had a TR3A, a Triumph.
Oh, wow.
And he always subscribed to Road and Track and Motor Trend. And I always gravitated towards the Jaguars and the Ferrari. And it was just, I grew up, washing tires when I was about 6 years old in the driveway. And so I'm kind of an eclectic collector, actually. I have some English cars, and I have some German cars, and I got some muscle cars, and they're all fun cars because they were at different times of my life. They had importance,
That is too cool.
Jim actually has quite an eclectic collection. That's kind of hard word combination there. But yeah, this is also another one. And did you recently acquire this Mustang, Jim?
No, I've had it for about 4 years.
Okay.
This is a 1969 Mustang Mach 1. They made the Mach 1s. The first year of the Mach 1 actually was 69. I like the first and second generation Mustangs from the 65s, actually 64 and a half, through the 70 models, and those were kind of the early, the Secretary's car of the 64, 65. And then you got into the muscle car era, and that's really what hooked me, was the muscle car era. This is a fairly rare car. It's an original car. It's the right, original colors. That's an Indian Fire red, but it's a Super Cobra Jet car, and it's they call a drag. Yeah, it's a drag pack car, and these Fords, for the guys that are muscle car guys, there's a report that was produced by Ford, and a fellow by the name of Kevin Marty produces what are called Marty reports, and that's basically the equivalent. It's not a build sheet, but it's a summary of how many of what cars were built and things of that nature. This car is fairly rare. I don't have the exact number of them, but the Super Cobra Jet cars were rare. It was the highest performance Mustang at that time, with, I think it's 385 horsepower. It's a drag pack car. And like Barry said earlier about the Corvette, this has a 430 rear end and it's a 4-speed car. And, if you try not to squeal your tires off the line, you're doing pretty good. And because it's just geared the way it's geared. But it's a great car. It's a fun car to drive. And it's an eye catcher.
What was the name of the color again, Jim? Indian red?
Indian Fire.
Indian Fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Indian Fire. And they're just really, really fun cars. If you of that era, this would have been one of the higher muscle cars. You also had the Hemi Kudus of that era. Of course, the Corvettes were great. The C2 Corvettes and things of that nature. But these I've got about probably right now 6 or 7 Mustangs of various deals that I've got to do. GT500 on order. Ironically, I've been waiting for it, and the reason it's on a hold right now, material hold, because it's waiting for the carbon fiber wheels, which come from China. So
oh gosh,
here we are waiting for wheels.
Yeah, I know someone at that's waiting on a GT500 right now, and they're saying that they're unable to get some parts because things have been pushed to make ventilators, and so there was some blower seat motors and some air conditioning parts and things like that they're not able to get because Ford has retooled to manufacture ventilators right now. So that's higher priority. It really is. It is, and it's been phenomenal to watch the country kind of everybody kind of retool and get together on it. But having the same problem with Corvette C8s, they've halted production on them, and basically everything that'll be made after this will be a 2021.
Okay. Yeah, this is real cool because we're car junkies sitting around either in our garages or in our media rooms right now.
Yeah.
Thinking, God, I can't wait to get together and hang out with the guys.
Oh, I know it.
Cool.
I know
Cool.
when we did this at 8 to 10, doing this maybe with a beer in your hand would have been frowned upon, but 10 to 12, we're getting real close to maybe having a beer. So
for sure. I'm local here, and the garages of Texas. Some of the guys got garages around there. We're going to try and get a little group together. We're going to get out and space some chairs out tomorrow because we need our Monday noon fix.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, we're all
That's
going to
too
bring
funny.
our lunch sit around. Oh yeah.
Hey, on that Ferrari, that Testarossa, were all those cars gated shifters?
Yes, they sure were. They're 5-speed cars, and these are the cars. One little funny story for guys. I mean, I saved up for a number of years before I was able to buy, my first Ferrari, and I was so proud of it. It had about 3,000 miles on it. It was a used car, and I finally got it. And we were playing in a golf tournament like 2 weeks later, and I wanted to get the oil changed on the car, because I wasn't sure that the service had been done.
Mm-hmm.
I took it over to the Ferrari dealer, and at the time, And I said, yeah, I need the oil changed. They said, yeah, you can, we'll have it. I said, I just need it by the weekend. I dropped it off on a Monday. And the car only had, like, say, 3,000 miles on it, but age-wise, it was due for a cam belt service.
Oh,
well, I didn't know
no.
what I didn't know what a cam belt service was. And the guy, so he called me and said, yeah, you're due for a cam belt service. And I said, really? He said, well, if it needs the belts, go ahead and put them on. He said, well,
Oh, no.
he said, well, it's about $9,800.
Yeah.
And after I got this, so I went through my sticker shock. I thought, Well, I said, tell me about that. And he said, well, yeah, it's got fiber belts in there. You have to send engine out service. I said, okay. And I said, well, does it really need that right now? And he said, yeah, well, he said, you don't have to do it. But, if one of those belts goes, he said, you're looking at about a $35,000 engine rebuild. So I said, well, go ahead and do that. I didn't want to buy a new motor, And so he called back 3 days later, and he said, well, we got it all done. Everything's great. But, with that little creeper and the shoulder harness isn't working exactly right.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's a safety deal. I said, okay. And I said, well, go ahead and fix this. I noticed, fix that seat belt, make it right. He said, well, they only come in pairs. I said, well, okay. The pair installed was $3,200, Oh,
geez.
And
oh, my gosh.
so I said, well, yeah. Go ahead and do that too, I guess. Anyways, that's my story of the $15,000 oil change.
And that is, and it's funny because with them being rear engine, I don't know if the or mid-engine, I'm sorry, if the Testarossa was like this or not, but I know specifically on the 360s, there's actually an access panel behind the front seat. That way they don't have to, it's not as invasive to do, so they can actually get to the front of the motor through the interior of the car to change the cam belts on them on the 360s.
Really?
Yeah. And I think once they did to the 430s, I'm not sure if the 430 has the panel or not, but you can find some photos online of them doing a cam belt service on a Ferrari motor through the interior of the car.
There's on my 575M, it's that way. That's about a $2,000 job, but it was interesting because it was just interesting. And but I'm on my fourth one right now, and I'll always have a Ferrari I'll always have a Testarossa for the rest of my life.
Oh, it's beautiful. I can't wait to see it in person. Hopefully we can see you out at the office once all this blows over.
Oh, for sure.
Thanks so much for sharing with us, Jim.
You bet.
Do we want to do you want to pull up Steven real quick and see if he's got anything new to show?
Yeah, let's see what you're working on over there, Steven. Looks like a Formula One car. Maybe a Mercedes. Is that a Lewis Hamilton car?
There you go.
That guy wins too much.
Lewis's teammate, number 77. His name escapes me right now. But I actually may be in the running to win an upcoming season's not necessarily a poster competition, but some kind of a creative endeavor with Mercedes Petronas. So working on a few concepts for them. One thing a lot of guys will notice from my work, I try and involve humans interacting with the cars quite a bit, instead of it just being, picture of a car done by a guy in his garage. Like, all that stuff's cool, but I want to see people interacting with their love affair. So I also have a Josh, you could probably cut over to me in a few minutes too, because I also have something going on a certain XJ220 that we saw a few minutes ago.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Cut over to me in a little bit.
Okay.
Well, cool. We'll do.
It's a lot of fun.
All right.
We had somebody that was on here just a second ago, and I apologize if I mess up your name, but is it Kyriakos? And I don't know if you're available to present.
I'm trying to unmute him, and I'm not getting anything.
Hang on, let me tell him to unmute. It's a better of mine.
Okay.
Hang on.
Was that Jan?
Yeah.
was he on? And if we want, we could switch over to
We've got a couple other
switch over to
people that are-
Michelle.
Yeah.
She's been watching intently.
Hey, Michelle.
Well, I sold my toy, so I don't have a
That's
car.
okay. How you doing this morning?
Doing good. I had a 67 fastback that went bye-bye, so I'm looking for my next toy.
What are you thinking?
You know, I was actually looking at bring a trailer a little while ago, and they had a 06 Porsche 6-speed. It definitely has to be a stick. I can't handle another toy that's an automatic. My daily driver's an automatic, and they're just no fun.
Yeah.
Hey, Michelle, is the 06 is the one, the 997, where they rounded out the headlights, right?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out if something's wrong with it. I got to go back and read all the details on it, but if it's bidding and it's only got 2 more days and it's only at 20, so something's got to be, must have something on the Carfax or something.
I think they sorted out the IMS bearing problems on the 997. I'm sure Jan can probably speak more to that, but I don't know if it's as big of an issue on the 997s as it was on the 996.
Well, as you know, I know a few people that can help me out. So.
Yeah, we can pull our resources for sure.
Now, Michelle, you know anybody in financing that's going to help you out with that?
You know,
what do you do for a living?
On that cheap of a car, I hate to say cheap. They tell us not to say the word cheap, less expensive. How's that?
There you go.
On that less expensive of a car, I don't even know that I could get my company to do it because our minimum is 50.
Oh, that's too funny. So who do you work for?
They might do it for me. I'm the Southwest Region Manager for Premier Financial. So we do a lot of financing on exotics, collectors. We have no age restrictions on the cars we can finance. So my 67 was financed with Premier. So yeah, so it's fun. I get to play. I don't know how exactly I ended up doing this other than I've always been a car girl. I joke that I was born in an 18-wheeler and grew up with, the smell of gasoline. But it's just always been a passion of mine, and now I get to combine it with the financing options. So I get to be there at the beginning when people are in love with the car and can't wait to get it. So I'm there when they're all excited and loving the car, and not when they're getting those repair bills that we were just talking about.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, let me ask you this: just with all this virus stuff going on, are you guys seeing much of a slowdown as far as turnaround on cars or anything? Or
I think I'm off probably about half. So we're about 50% down. But
okay.
When you're it's weird that a lot of them are just they're online. You got these guys stuck at home, so they're online shopping for cars.
Yeah.
So a lot of our business is done sight unseen. The guys have never seen the car. They're buying. They're in California. They're buying it from Florida or Texas or wherever, and they're not seeing the cars anyway. So a lot of it hasn't changed that much from how the cars are being bought. It's just a lot of our dealers are not in their offices. They're all working from home like we are. So
right.
It's just driving me crazy. Not, I'm used to walking into dealerships and getting to see and touch and play with the cars. And now I'm stuck in my office and can't. Yeah,
absolutely. What's the most interesting car you've ever done a financing on?
I did
let's brag a little bit.
Few months ago, I did a 72 Ferrari GTB. It was
oh wow,
a thing of beauty, and I think
someone was a connoisseur.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think the original sales price was 2.3 million. We financed about, I think we did 1.85.
Wow.
But it was show car quality. It was a 365 GTB4. I didn't particularly care for the color. It was green, but
sometimes you kind of get what you get with those cars. Can't be real picky on colors when they come up so few.
I'm sorry. What year did I say? It was a 73. My bad. But it was gorgeous. It was bought out of Houston, as a matter of fact, and now resides in Colorado. So.
Oh wow. It's funny because it does seem like everything that you see online for sale, it seems to all come from about 5 states.
Yeah.
So in a lot of those states kind of sound like they fall in your territory. So I see a lot of Texas cars, a lot of Georgia cars, Florida cars, Colorado, California.
I handle all the dealers, but I've got customers everywhere from New York to California to Florida. But I've got Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Utah, and everything in between. But there's really no dealers in those in between states. So
no. Well, we appreciate you hopping on and hope we see more of you. And
hopefully I'll have a toy to show next time.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what you end up on, what you end up with. So
me too.
Hey Josh, I
Thanks,
see
Michelle.
Jim is there, and then I see Steven working on something.
We got a Jim Granberry. Looks like he's ready
Let's
to
go
go.
to Jim real fast.
Woo!
I'm gonna spotlight and unmute.
Hey Jim.
Let's see. Oh, is he still muted?
By the
Jim.
way, while we're getting his mic set up,
Unmute.
Jim, yeah, there you
How
go.
about now?
There you go.
There we go.
Hey Jim,
Hey, Jim,
Hey,
how are
Good,
you,
Jim.
sir?
we could also show your Ferrari here because I'm here at your garage and I can walk around on that too.
I'm jealous. I wish I was there at the garage. Yeah.
So this
Hey,
is funny.
Chris.
So Jim is
Yeah,
the
there
owner
it is.
of the BMW and the Ferrari, but he is not at his garage. Chris and Craig are. So tell us about your. How long have you had the Ferrari?
Let's see, going on a year on the Ferrari. I had been looking for first I thought I'd get a 308 GTS, and then the more I read, the more I realized the 328 was a better car. I don't know, better car, but it had improved some things from the 308 and similar styling cues. But much better from a standpoint of higher horsepower, larger engine, 3.2 liter instead of 3.0. Much better from a cooling standpoint. An air conditioner that in Texas in 100 degrees actually can be used.
Yeah.
And without overheating the engine. And then this was the last of the analog Ferraris, the very last one. I think mid-year '88, they actually did start putting ABS brakes on these cars, and which is evidenced by concave wheels versus the convex wheels.
Oh, interesting.
I guess convex versus concave, like this car has on it. And so it's just cool to drive. There's nothing digital. It is all manual, power steering, no power steering, no power brakes, no airbags. It's when you drive this car, you really feel the road. And this apparently was the last car or the last model that Enzo Ferrari really had any direct involvement with. There may be Ferrari aficionados on this call that know more than I do. This is my first Ferrari, but these are my understandings as well. And so as I was looking for one, I spent a year before buying this one looking online at different Ferraris. And of course, I realized that if I were to go to California or Washington State or New Jersey to actually view one that I was interested in, I'd want to take someone along with me, an expert, to survey the car. And so my friend Jack Griffin here in Dallas, who is well-known and respected car collector, spent a lot of time in the 80s racing Le Mans and various things, said, Jim, there's one guy that you want to take with you to survey a car. It's James Patterson at Norwood Italian Auto, and he is just the foremost expert on Ferraris as far as independents in the Dallas area. And so that was great. And then not long after that, I called.
Oh, we lost Jim there for a second.
Well, whatever.
Still there?
He was.
Yep,
there
there
he
you
is.
Okay, good. And so anyway, Jack said, hey, there is a red 86 328 GTS over at Norwood. And so I called up, went over there, and this is a car that they had done the service on since 2000, and one of their customers said to sell it. It needed a little work on it, so they, did everything to bring it up to speed, and ended up making a deal on it. And it was fun as James and I drove it together. He wanted me to drive it, and so we spent an hour together, just talking about Ferraris, and just ended up being we developed a delightful friendship. And then I said, let me take you over and show you where the home for this car is going to be. We went over to what we're calling our car cave, where you see it there, and he really liked it and so forth. And he's connected me with other folks, Barry Fromberg, one who has spaces in our complex over there. They're fixed up just like this. So anyway, missing the Ferrari. I'm on day 33 of sheltering in place with my wife. We're both, she is considered to be at risk. I guess I am too with my age.
Yeah.
And so anyway, missing being over there, but I do have my SL63 AMG that I have in the garage here with me. So I've been getting out driving it a little bit as well. So
That's
Thank
such
you
a
for jumping
cool.
on with us, Jim.
That's such a cool office.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'd love to work here.
It's so nice inside there.
Just a quick glance. I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's very cool. Well, we look forward to seeing everybody in person once we get on the other side of this, and I love seeing this car. It's just got a nostalgia to it. Is there a reason you kind of you said you were first looking at 308s? Is there something that stands out about this generation of Ferrari for you?
okay, I lost you there for a little bit. Now you're back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What was the question?
Oh, I was saying, is there something you were looking at 308s and 328s? What drew you to this? Was it that this was kind of the last round of all mechanical Ferraris, or?
Yeah, good question. A lot of things. It's more affordable than some Ferraris. Some would say, I guess in the day this was your sort of an oxymoron to say this, but your entry level Ferrari. The engine does not require engine out service. So to change the timing belt, do other service on it, it can actually be done with the engine in, versus a lot of Ferraris require the engine to be removed, which adds significance to the cost of maintenance. And then to me, the styling of it just immediately says Ferrari.
Yeah.
So and then again, mechanically, there are a number of improvements that have been made. The 308, wonderful car, but when Ferrari started trying to achieve acceptance for U.S. Emissions issues, they changed it from carbureted to fuel injected, and their first stab at that really ended up making a car that had very, very low performance, and it was not satisfactory at all. And it had 2 valves per cylinder at that time. Then they went to what they called the Quattro Valvole, and 4 valves per cylinder. And excuse me, that improved the performance substantially. And then the 328 increase in size of engine, made it perform even better. This is not a fast car on today's standards. I think it's 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, something like that. Back in the day, that was pretty good. But you don't buy this car, drive this car for its performance. I'll get one of my AMGs to get the performance.
Well, and that's the thing is, 10, 15 years ago, we would have, to me, where this car is slotted right now is kind of the way Dinos were back then. There was this like, oh yeah, if you want to get into a Ferrari, get into a Dino. They're affordable, and now, the market's popped on those. And so this is one to hang on to for sure, just from an investment standpoint.
Yep.
That would be nice for this to be considered in the same collector class as a Dino at some point.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Jim, we appreciate it. We hope you're doing well in quarantine. and we just look forward to being on the other side of all this. So
Thank you. This is
all right,
awesome.
thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Take care. All right, Josh, you want to go to Damon?
Hey, Damon, I don't know if you're still with us on video or not.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm here. How you doing?
Hey,
Hey,
doing
guys.
good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Let's see. We can.
I think we're still
there we go.
sharing
Spotlight
Christopher
video.
Lacey.
There we go. Perfect.
Hey,
This
Damon.
is probably the most unorthodox way to do it, isn't it?
Well, we're just kind of we're just rolling with it. We're just kind of working with what we got.
Right, for sure. Hope everybody's staying safe.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You want me to show the car?
Yeah, let's see
Yeah,
what
do you got?
what we're
What are you
looking at.
working with?
No. All right, hold on. Let me flip it around here for you.
Is that a Public Enemy hat and a Social Distortion
It is
shirt?
indeed.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
I like-
sir, you are a man of taste.
One, that's debatable, but what we have here is a 2015 Nissan GTR.
What a color.
Go
Well, what
go
color-
landscape if you don't mind. Go landscape with your phone if you don't mind. That way
All right, hold on. Oh, like this?
it'll flip for it. There we go. Perfect.
What color is it? It's whatever color you want it to be.
Yeah,
Depends on what time of day it is.
It depends on what time of day it is. Yeah, I did the Avery Dennison wrap on it. That's the only thing I did to this car that wasn't already done. So this has got a Jotech Stage 2 kit, putting about a little over 600 horsepower.
Very nice.
It came when I bought it from a guy that didn't really drive it that much, so it's only got like 20,000 miles, not even. It came with the ADV1 wheels. It came with the the carbon fiber kit, pretty much all the way around. Front spoiler and skirts.
What number front splitter is that you're on?
Well, yeah, right. So far, so good. You know, I haven't cracked it yet.
Yeah, my Corvette. I'm on my third one right now, and it's I have a love-hate relationship with speed bumps.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I used to drive an ISF, and it was a completely different going into this. So
Oh yeah,
this is
absolutely.
actually a daily driver. So I got rid of, I live downtown, so I didn't really need, 2 cars. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
but-
is the I don't know a lot about GTRs. I was looking at one while I was looking at getting my vet, just because it's like, gosh, everything, it checks all the same boxes, but then also a back
Right.
seat.
Right.
Even if you want to call it a back seat, but I've got 2 small kids, so they'd fit back there. But what is something whenever you're looking at a GTR, like what are as far as year, generation, like what was good years, what were things that you need to look out for one?
Right. So what they told me is anything from 09 to 11 is kind of the ones that were kind of the ones to stay away from. They had some engine issues.
Yeah.
But since everybody mods these stuff, I guess that's kind of irrelevant because everybody's changing them out anyway. But those were the ones that I was told to stay away from. And of course, as they got newer, just like anything else, the horsepower changed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they started out with like 450 at the first one, and then it just went up from there. I think that now they're get up to like 545, I believe, stock, something like that.
Gosh.
Which isn't like, today's
But once you
specification.
start letting Kenny Tran mess with your car, that just goes out the window.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
no
why
kidding.
that's true. So that's when I bought this car. I bought it from a guy that Kenny had done all the work, and so I felt comfortable because he stands behind all his builds and tunes. So that's why I went ahead and did it this way. Normally I wouldn't buy a car that's been modded. That seems like a horrible idea, but
Yeah.
So
in this case,
to anybody that's sort of on the call or their conference right now, we've had sort of consensus around the Ferrari group with Norwood and James Patterson, but to the import tuners like the GTRs, also the new generation of Supras, Kenny Tran and Jotech is the foremost expert on these cars, and he's the OG. He's been around forever and
Right.
building these cars, and just nothing but positive feedback from his customers for
Yeah,
decades.
and he's been on site when we've had events at the office, and he's just a stand-up guy. I've been buying parts from him since the 90s. He actually was on it's funny, I told him this and he just got the biggest kick out of it, but he had this little bitty tiny single bay mechanic shop, And I'd walk in. I had a DSM, like a Mitsubishi Eclipse back then. I'd walk in, needed a turbo. Little guy comes crawling out from underneath the car, wipes his hands off, helps me out at the counter, and then helps me get my Garrett turbo. And then I leave, and he crawls back under the car, and that's Kenny Tran, and now he's a mogul as far as the import automotive community, and just such a genuine nice guy, and builds a hell of a race car too.
I bought this because I knew it was going to be, I mean, I guess it's hard to say sports car and reliable in the same sentence, but I felt it would be a reliable sports car.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's still a Nissan. So,
Is it running pump gas? Like just
I've
93 octane?
It's funny. Yeah. So I do have pump gas, but I also have flex fuel kit on there. So I can put the E85 in there.
I've seen that go through. I guess there's like a Cobb access port. And
Correct.
You can just change the fuel setup to go to ethanol.
Yes, correct. And that's on this car too. Yeah, I have the flex fuel kit, or whoever had the car before me had the flex fuel kit, I guess I should say.
And what's so funny is whenever you put an E85 in it, can you go straight E85 or do you have to mix?
Well, I mean, ideally, if you want the most performance out of it, they say to go straight. But at the same time, they also say it's not good to do it all the time. So typically, I'll do like a tank in E85 or almost a full tank. And then, obviously, the more you have, the more ethanol you have, which equates to the horsepower, right? So
right.
I mean, there have been times where I've done half a tank of E85 and half a tank of regular, but
yeah. So it's funny because on these modern, it's big in the LS community. It's big in the import community, anything with a turbo or a blower on it. E85 will actually act as almost, I want to say it's 110 or 114 octane fuel. And so you can just run a lot more timing on it, get a cooler ignition off of it. Also your exhaust ends up smelling a little bit like popcorn, which is always kind of fun too. So
yeah, I haven't had the luxury of doing the flames yet, but I think I'm going to stay away from that.
Well, very cool.
Hey, Damon, thank you so much for showing us your GTR.
I hope that we can all meet up at meets pretty soon in the foreseeable future.
We're all itching for that.
Yeah, we are dying right now doing this. So
all right.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Man. Take care. All right, brother.
You.
Take care.
Let's pop back over to Steven real quick. Oh my gosh. There we go.
It's so cool.
That was quick.
Yeah,
it was quick.
Ready, go.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ready, go.
Yeah, ready, go.
My experience with the first event that I went to over at Josh and Leafs' place, Jim was there with his 328, and I didn't even tell him. I just took a picture of his car, and I did a quick Mary Poppins style sidewalk chalk drawing, and put some clear coat on it just so that it's not going to rub off. And I wrapped it, and I said, "Thanks for sharing your car with me." At the end of the thing, it's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "It's a picture of your car." What? So I don't know if he threw it in the trash or if he has it, if he's got it hanging up. But but that car, that 320, it's a lot of fun to drive, or not only to drive but to draw, to just kind of marvel in front of. And Jim obviously has a nice story to go along with it. When you are fond of your motor vehicle, I mean, everyone will hear the same thing from me. I mean, we gearheads, us car people, we treat these cars like members of our own family, even when they leave. Just the memory of having them, it's like having a pet, having a child or a confidant that you spend a lot of your life with, or at least a season of your life. So the reason why I do all of this is just to kind of commemorate that memory, and then you've got that forever, kind of enshrined in something done by someone else's hands, right? So doing these on the spot that are really fast, I mean, some of the time that's really, hey, how are you going to pull that off?
What are you using right now, Steven? Is that pastels? Like
yeah. So these are oil pastels, and then I usually go on top of it with a mixed media of some kind, and that consists of other elements like
pencil and chalk, and dry stuff to where I'm not having to wait for it to dry before I do anything else to it, right? So it's really a lot of fun to watch on quick turnaround things like this. But
Very cool.
man, I loved seeing that XJ220 and the XJ15. I think I remember seeing those cars from the Park Place show. Maybe you could chime in. Yeah, I
think they were at the
just saw
premiere showcase.
I saw those and I knew immediately what they were. I'm like, okay. I remember growing up racing at least the XJ220 on Need for Speed.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I'm from that generation of really, really crummy graphics, but man, they were so awesome at the time. And this is a car that I remember from my nostalgia days of just hanging out in front of the computer doing this and believing I'll be around it. So yeah, I'm just delighted to see that. So man, really a lot of fun.
Well, that's the thing is I saw in the webcast, the screen over here, I saw, what it looked like and was like, oh, let's cut to that real fast. And so, man, it's really neat just to even just watch you work. So we appreciate you doing that.
Man, thanks for having me. Yeah, you guys rock. Everyone here is so generous for sharing.
Absolutely.
I'm appreciative.
Hey Josh, I see Bryant is on the phone. I don't think we've got video on him, but I'm trying to unmute him now.
Yeah, I think Nolan's still on the phone too, so maybe they want to jump back in here. I don't know if we can get them or not, but maybe while they're
I'm still here, sir. I am still here.
See me?
Hey Bryant, how are you, man?
I'm good. You guys?
Doing well. Where are you calling in from?
Way up in Traverse City, Michigan. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we appreciate you coming on. Let me
absolutely
switch this over real quick.
So I just got out from a social distancing drive with my coworkers at Haggerty, and I took my Black Mamba out, and it doesn't necessarily bite you with like a Black Mamba, but that's my daughter's name for it, and she came with me. A quick story about my Solstice, and then I'll talk a couple claim stories maybe, or something, or take questions, or I don't know what exactly. But I'm working right now on my Solstice because when you shut the door, it was rubbing on the convertible top, and I think I got it fixed. I think it's not going to rub anymore, so that's good. This car, though, I've had just a year, and I've always loved Solstices. I know it's kind of weird. I've at Haggerty got to see probably some of the best collections in the world, so the fact that I have a Solstice is, people question me, but I just have always loved these cars. And this one is only has 1,000 miles on it. I bought it last spring.
Oh my gosh, where did you find that at?
It was actually local up here in northern Michigan, kind of crazy. And it got it from a Corvette collector. He had bought it 2 years ago at an auction. And the story is this car, and it's really dirty because I just got done driving it, but this car was purchased and then parked for like 10 years. And then the guy passed away, and then he bought it at an auction, America's auction down in Indianapolis, and then drove it up to northern Michigan. And then here's my funny part. He was going to do a split window paint job on his Corvette, and so we had to sell this car to pay for the paint job. So my car paid for his paint job, which is awesome.
There you go. Well, cool.
That's too funny.
So quick introduction.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Can you tell us? I don't know that we introduced you properly, but Bryant, you're a claims specialist with Haggerty, correct?
Yeah. So I used to manage our claims department for 5 years. Then I went over and did race cars and motorcycles for 5 years. And now I'm working with insurance agencies like yourself on how to continue to help support. So yeah, I've got a kind of interesting background. So I just can't help it. Everything, I think I was on the phone with a few folks from CoVerica earlier this week, and it reminded me of a claim story. And they're like, you should hop on really quick and tell some. So I'm open for anything you guys want. It's a gorgeous day outside. It's supposed to snow here tomorrow, so I'm going to just stay outside and chat with you guys about cars. Right? Exactly.
What is the snow you speak of?
I know.
Yeah, crazy. You were telling us a story about how was it a Bentley or a Rolls that somebody had modified?
Yeah, it was a Bentley. I think it was a 2006, 2007 Bentley GT, I believe it was, if my memory rings correctly. I'm not a massive Bentley expert, but yeah, they basically they wanted it to be. It was in Milwaukee, so I think it was a Milwaukee Bucks NBA guy, and he wanted it to be a convertible. So he paid a shop to cut the roof off, and not the smartest idea because he was driving down the road not too much later, and basically all the rigidity in the sail panels left the car and it literally fell in half. And he filed a claim, and unfortunately its claims are accidental damage, and that was on purpose. He paid someone 30 grand to cut the top off of his car to ruin his car. So that was not a good claim.
I mean, it seems like it seems like if you wanted the roof off of a car, you would have bought a convertible to get. Yeah. I mean, that was a car that already had a convertible out for it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so
crazy. But there's another probably my best claim story, which I'll tell you guys, and you can Google it. McLaren F1, just Google McLaren F1 fire California, and you'll see pictures of it. And obviously McLaren F1s are pretty rare, but this was back, 2008, 2009. They weren't the $10 million, $20 million cars they are now. They were like $2 million. But anyway, if you Google that picture and take a look at it, this guy was driving down the center of the highway, and people always, go up next to him in motion. Hey, that's cool, whatever. So he had all these people coming up to him, waving frantically, and he was just used to it. But he glanced in his rearview mirror, and the back of the car was on fire. It's crazy.
Nope.
And long story short, I was able to pull it over. And sorry, I'm getting some background noise.
That's Nolan.
Oh, that's Nolan. Gotcha. He was able to pull it over, and the fire department was able to extinguish the fire before it got into the cabin. So the whole rear of the car, and it's, if you know much about McLaren F1s, it's a center console car. It's kind of unique. So you sit in the middle, and you've got a passenger side seat on your left and a passenger side seat on your right, just slightly behind you, and then the engine compartment, and then the back of the car. The unique thing about you're gonna share it. That'd be cool if you can share.
I'm gonna spotlight.
Yeah, that's
here.
it. Sweet.
I got a video pulled up of it.
That's exactly the one. Yeah, I'll wait for you to pull that video up or whatnot.
Crispy.
Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. It's crazy.
So this was your claim?
This was the claim I'm talking about. Yep. So yeah, he made it. He got out just in time. As you can see, the fire almost made it into the compartment. It was really close. And just behind the firewall.
Test. Hush.
Uh-oh.
The interesting part about the F1 is it was one of the first all carbon fiber cars. So long story short, he calls me from the side of the road. Hey, dude, my McLaren F1 just burned down. What should I do? You don't get those phone calls every day. So we towed it to Bruce Canepa's shop out in California, took a look at the car, and we decided, you know what, this has to go back to the McLaren Technology Center in Woking, England. So we shipped it back there, and then I luckily had the privilege of going over and working in our London office for 3 months and looking at the repairs. The McLaren Technology Center, if you Google that place is amazing. There's a couple quirky stories I'll tell you about that. The first time we went there, I checked in with the security guard. He handed me a white card, parked in the parking lot. And he said, just throw this white card in the elevator and then you're good to go. I'm like, okay. So I do the same thing. The elevator takes you down. Yeah, there's the pictures of it. It's insane. The elevator takes you down and it opens up into a white hallway, and there's no one around. It's just a white hallway. And so the first thing went through my mind was, did I just die? Am I in heaven? Like, what is I mean, like, it's a white hallway with a door. So yeah, I walk down, it's probably 200 yards, and then open up and it's another white hallway with a door. And then you open up, you put your card in the elevator and you go up, and boom, you're right in that lobby that you're showing right there. And so they've got all their race cars. And at that time they were working with Mercedes on that special Mercedes McLaren.
SLR.
Yeah, that's SLR. Yep. But they were so worried. They were just starting to launch and get into their own vehicles. They were so worried about industrial espionage that when you walked across the threshold to go into their factory, they had a glue mat down. And so it would pull off everything off the bottom of your feet.
Oh my gosh.
Because their carbon fiber technology was at that time was cutting edge, it was insane. So
yeah, I mean, Gordon Murray, just the development of that F1 car. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary on that, but I mean, that guy was as about as esoteric as it comes.
Yeah,
in,
it's insane.
Developing the perfect car.
Yeah, the documentary on that is a great watch. I highly recommend it. And so anyway, long story short, that the engine was out. It was a BMW engine that was over in Germany. The chassis was there, and it was so light I could lift up basically the frame of the car, the chassis of the car, and then just a little education on the carbon fiber. They took about a 2.5-inch piece of steel, a thick steel, and hit it with a battering ram, and it basically crunched the steel. And then I picked up a piece of carbon fiber that was about the weight and thickness of a Kleenex, and they hit it with the same ram at the same force, and it didn't break. It didn't do anything. So that was the part where I was like, holy shit, this carbon fiber stuff. And sure enough, now it's in everything, right? It's in it's crazy.
So I see, Leaf, you're pulling up the engine bay.
Yeah.
Something interesting too that I just recently found out on these F1s was the gold, I guess the gold laminate for heat shielding on the bonnet of the car.
Yep, the gold heat shield is crazy. There's a lot of things like that with this car. The driver's seat on this car. So long story short, I won't bore you with more details, but we fixed the car. The owner flew over there, and the driver's seat in this car is custom to you. It's an $18,000 seat, and you have to customize it to your body. So he went over there, got the seat all customized to himself, took it around, and then the question at the time though was, is this car worth less money now because it's been fixed? So that was a big question, right? It's like, hey, this car has been fixed. It's not an original F1 anymore. So we were working through that, but our goal was to make it, back to the way it was. And actually it became better than it was before. So it became the only McLaren F1 that was fixed with a certification from McLaren that this car is back to pre-spec. And so actually it became probably one of the most sought after McLarens because it was no longer a 1995 McLaren that was used for, 12 years. It was basically a brand new McLaren F1. So kind of a cool story. And the owner got the car and he was really happy and took it around. And I don't really actually know what happened to it. I haven't really talked to him or seen the car since then, but it was pretty cool. It was a really cool claim. It was an awesome experience. So
yeah, and
that's a really unique claim situation. That's cool that you got to go to McLaren's tech center. That's really neat.
It was awesome. It was really cool. And the only other quick story about, and it's just a fast one, about the McLaren Technology Centers. So they have, and you had a great view of the skyline of it. They had kind of like 7 different wings. And so like this was their racing wing, and this was the F1 wing, and this was the Mercedes wing at that time. But the trivial part of it, which is kind of interesting, worthless knowledge for the call, but they also are the only tea company the Queen would use. So they have a whole wing devoted to tea and basically crumpets, or if you want to call it that, whatever the British equivalent is for the Queen.
Oh my gosh, that's too
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah, absolutely. So
hey, Brian, thanks for jumping on with us, man. I appreciate the stories and this good stuff. Hey,
yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to just kind of point to something that happened this week, and it may be, I would love to get sort of the interactive feedback from the group. So if you want to chime in, maybe Leaf, I don't know if you can unmute everybody, but just kind of seeing what you guys think about this. It may be a little tone deaf, but maybe you can see my screen now. So anybody that's familiar with cars probably knows about the Cannonball runs, the cross country New York to LA. It's basically just a flat out drive from coast to coast. So a team in an Audi this week, just amidst all this coronavirus stuff, just beat the Cannonball record, which is hilarious to me, but someone had to do it. I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on that.
It's funny though, because there's not, I mean, we're considered financial services. So we're in the essential category. So I've been on the road, coming to the office once or twice a week. And, getting on 635 at 7:45 a.m. and doing 80 on the way into the office is a strange experience on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And it got me to thinking. It was like, gosh, if you were gonna attempt something like this would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
But and so I'm I'm not surprised to see these guys take advantage of a unique opportunity to do this.
How many laws are broken in this video?
Chris, we can barely hear you. Speak up.
Well, I was asking how many laws were broken making that video.
All of them, several times over. So yeah, there's some of these where they look back at average speeds, and average speeds were 110, 115 across the entire. Is it 2308? What the total mileage is? 2904. That's what it is. So there's a route that they follow that is 2,904 miles from New York to Los Angeles, and they'll spec these cards out, and they'll build these cars. They're looking for something high horsepower, but also something inconspicuous. They'll put fuel cells in the trunks. They'll do police countermeasures for laser jammers and radar jammers.
Well, Leaf, the one that they had previously broken the record in I believe it was a E63, they had thrown vinyl panels all over it to disguise it as a Honda Accord. So once again, just trying to go out of your way to be as inconspicuous as possible. But extra fuel tanks and
Oh, I guess this was the other thing that happened this week too. Is this guy wrecking his Carrera GT out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure everybody on here watches VinWiki. Ed is an amazing storyteller, and we're trying to get him on one of these calls here in the next couple of weeks. If we
got a strong maybe from him.
We have a strong maybe to get Ed on. So
talk to him on Thursday. We'll see. Well, I'll see if I can razz him a little bit more.
So,
he's a shrewd negotiator.
But this Josh, this Porsche GT was a pretty rare car. What was that? Was it a Jabala?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but yeah, Jabala.
None of us are.
I guess to me, it's I really don't like the body kit. I don't prefer it at all.
No,
a GT in its in its purest form is perfect. But apparently this is a one of just a handful, like maybe less than 10 that were built by this color or built by this tuner. I guess my understanding is similar to like a Shelby or a like a, what's the word we're looking for?
It's like a bespoke tuner.
What's the word? Resvani or I can't even think of the name of another body panel manufacturer, but
maybe like Hamann or Ruff.
Yeah, like a Roof or something like that. But this is anyhow, I'm going into too much granular detail. It's got a body kit on it, but this guy ends up saying, in the middle of New York, really close to where they do the New York Auto Show, and just hooning this car all over the street. And he is just on drugs. He's drunk. I don't know what he is, but you can see him. He smashes it here. Real early in the video.
We're just seeing your face.
You can see it's going sideways.
No. We're just seeing your face. The video is going to show up kind of weird on this anyway. But let me do this real quick because I think I found a picture of the car. I believe this is the same vehicle. Yeah, this may be it. If it's not, yeah. So this is probably the same guy, and I mean, it's an interesting car. I like him better. Who's the gentleman we know with the yellow one that comes to the
AJ.
events? AJ. I mean, to where his is just basically the way that it rolled off rolled out of the dealership. I prefer that. I mean, I get it. I don't know if I would do it to mine. My theoretical one. I do like that roof scoop.
Roof scoop's cool. I think the rest of it's a little much.
So, but yeah, this guy, from what I understood, he was drunk, and I'm sure the car is probably a total loss based on the severity of the damage.
Sure looked like it.
So I don't see how you come back from that.
There you go. Oof.
Yeah, that looks
I mean,
pretty bad. Looks
I don't
crumpled.
know. I mean, from a
That
claim
won't buff out.
standpoint, you know, I'm sure I don't know if Bryant's gotten a phone call on this one yet or not, but
I'm not getting a phone call. Hopefully it's not ours.
so I mean let me ask you this, just as someone that represents an insurance company, whenever you see some of these videos online, you know, I mean, what's going through your head? I hope that's not
Usually
ours.
the president of our company calls. Yeah, a president of the company calls and says, "Please tell me that's not ours."
Yeah.
No, I try to find the guy's name and look in the system just to see, you know.
So,
Nate says, to be fair, it was still trying to drive away after he wrecked it.
he did.
yeah.
It was
So
limping
the
along for a couple blocks.
The story is his name is Ben Chen. He's done a very similar extravagant destruction of a 720 and an MP12C. He's about 22 years old. He's one of the founders of the Gold Rush Rally.
Oh.
And he inherited like 10 or 11 figures from his dad. And he's in his, I think, mid-30s. He was under the influence, definitely not of alcohol. And he tried to drive away with his front right wheel basically completely sideways and not even attached to the car. This was not the first car he's destroyed like this on the streets of New York at all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of wall art right there.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, no kidding. That's unbelievable. Wow. Well, guys, I probably need to bring this in for a landing. We're hitting noon, and we want to be respectful of everybody's time. And you know, from Josh and all of us at CoVerica and Chris, and we just appreciate everybody getting online. You know, maintaining our social distance. I think you know, just being optimistic about this whole virus thing. I think we're kind of on the back half of this thing, or hopefully at the back half of this thing, as the numbers are starting to go down. You know, the infection rate was 20 to 30% from day to day, and now it's in the 7s. And so we're hoping that, you know, we can get back to normalcy and normal life.
Nice.
But you know, that way we can get back together and we can do this in person. But in the meantime, we're going to continue doing these on a bi-weekly basis, so it'll be an every other weekend kind of thing. And you can sign up online. We'll post a link to the video, or we'll post a link to the sign up pages. If you're signed up for one of these before, though, you'll be included in any email communication that we send out on future events. And so, you know, we just like getting online and seeing what everybody's up to, and feel free to grab a beer if you need to. And at least this way we don't have to worry about driving home. So.
Exactly. Thank you so much, guys. This is great.
Yeah,
Thanks
thanks
a lot
guys.
for
This is
everybody
awesome.
jumping on.
A lot of fun.
Oh goodness, got a lot of
background noise there.
Yeah, a lot of background noise. So, all right,
guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
Y'all be safe from Colorado here.
All right, you too. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. It's nice to meet you, sir.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Nolan, what are you building over there?
Another lawnmower, actually.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's. I'm getting crazy thunderstorm stuff. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we're.
I got it too. It's bright outside too. Starting to rain here. I'm down in South Fort Worth. It's starting to rain on me.
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
I'm in Wiley, just a short throw from Rockwall. So we had something in it, and it looks like it just kind of stopped, and now we're just getting drips.
Gotcha. Well, thanks y'all.
Thanks, Nolan.
Steven, that's beautiful, man.
Dude,
I love your artwork, man. It sounds like you do a lot of work with guys in my other regions, especially with the exotics on Las Olas. So might have to get in touch with you and connect you with some of my counterparts around the country. That's awesome.
Oh, please, that'd be a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nolan.
Thank y'all.
Hey, Leaf, is there anything I need to do to stop on my end?
Leaf probably left.
Looks like I'm now the host. Maybe I'm done. All right, Steven, I'm about to jump off here, but thanks for jumping on, and amazing stuff as always, man. Thank you.
Dude, thank you for having me.
All right,
have
man.
a good one.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man. Hey, our power just went out. Oh, did it? I just copied the link. So I was like, I haven't gotten off of this meeting yet, but I didn't want to lose anything that we were trying to cloud record. So I copied the link into. Let's see. All right, so it looks like it's still streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, gotcha. Are you still on right now?
I am.
Okay. Is anybody else on, or everybody just jump off?
It looks like I'm the only one on here right now. So I can go ahead and stop video. Do I need to stop the live stream on YouTube?
No, leave it running. Let me wait for my internet to come back on.
Okay.
And then let me join the meeting, and let me see if I can end it gracefully.
Okay. I'll leave it going then.
Yeah, our internet is. Thought it went well.
That one was really good. I think that we've improved just from 1 week to the next.
Yeah. So it'll get a little better each time.
Yeah.
But, even with this happening, I noticed I probably need to get a battery unit on my internet connection and on my computer.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to stream out of the house like this, but.
Yeah. Well, I think we got most of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, I started hearing really bad thunder and lightning, and I was like, oh, we need to wrap this part closed real quick.
Yeah.
I was afraid something might happen, but yeah, man, Jim Mango, like, just even having pictures of his cars and stuff like that, I know we weren't able to have live video or anything like that, but man, that was awesome. That's the thing that I like, is I like the story. I like it's one thing to kind of show off the car, but it's another thing that there's a story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the fun stuff.
Yeah. And, a guy that's 71 years old, he's got a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He's a really, really nice guy. I liked him a lot. And he's got a great, he's got an awesome collection of cars.
Yeah. How did you meet him?
I met him through, another person that I insure in the PCA, the local Porsche club. And then he referred me to another guy named Ray Upton, who also has an incredible collection of Porsches. And I actually have a really cool photo of the two of them, Jim and Ray, with their air-cooled Porsches. So you didn't get to see. Say that again.
The Kermit green and the orange one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot of stuff he can share. I mean, he can jump on every other week and share a couple cars with us that we haven't seen yet.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah. So, and he already texted me. He said, that was awesome. Thanks for doing that. I just think
if anything, it's good stuff to have clients on.
Yeah.
It's just for nobody else is doing it.
Right. And I mean, we're all bored. I mean, it's raining outside.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm still on this meeting. Do you need me to invite you?
No, I'm gonna jump in it now.
Oh, looks like you're on there.
Okay, cool.
Please start minicam or choose another video source.
That's my cam software.
Okay. I'm not going to touch anything. Let me see if I can say something. Let me see if I can hear you in my headphones.
All right, hold on. Testing 1 2.
Nothing yet.
Probably because let's see, microphone.
I just don't want to get feedback.
Test 1 2 1 2 test 1 2. Okay, cool.
I'm off my phone now.
All right. There's 3 people watching the stream, and so I think what we're gonna do